Welcome to the Idle Talk podcast. My name is Peyton, and I'm joined by my friend Jacob. This episode is sponsored by Applebee's. Not really, but Applebee's, if you're listening, we would love for you to sponsor this episode of the Idle Talk podcast and all future episodes. This is a recap episode of Survivor 46, episode 10. What is this one called?
Something about a red light.
Run the red light?
Yeah. Don't stop at the red light. Something with the red light.
I don't know. It was something that Maria said. If you haven't seen this episode, go watch that. Spoiler warning right now. It talks about Applebee's a lot.
A lot.
Which is why we're bringing it up right here at the top.
Like a lot.
If you haven't watched it, go ahead and make a drinking game out of it and take a drink every time they say Applebee's. You'll have a blast.
And probably not wake up.
Potentially. But yeah, they talk about Applebee's a lot. It brings... I jokingly said to myself when they arrived at the challenge and he had the cloche, because I was there and I'm watching through the early New Era seasons, 41, and I'm on 42 right now, and I just got to the merge, and the reward is Applebee's, and he was hyping up the reward, and I was just thinking, I was like, oh, it'd be so funny if it was Applebee's. And then it was. And then it turned into a really big deal for this episode. And so I just thought it was pretty funny that they kind of brought it back to Applebee's. And we've been watching through the early seasons of Survivor, and they did a lot of these sponsored rewards and sponsored challenges. They did one, they did a Target one. They did a lot of Mountain Dew ones and Doritos and Visa. What else did they do? They did the cars.
Yeah.
Obviously. That was a big deal. I think they did a couple.
I just remember like the Sears and the Target catalogs being the big
they did
ones.
the catalogs. Those are the big ones.
But no one really has catalogs anymore. That's not really a thing.
I feel like if they were gonna do like challenges that were sponsored today, like Amazon would be a big one. If they were gonna do like a catalog one, it would be Amazon.
I feel like if they were gonna do like comfort, they should do IKEA.
IKEA would be a fun comfort one.
Yeah. Maybe throw in some Swedish meatballs.
Yeah, I feel like that's not a good like food reward. I feel like that'd be.
I'm more just saying like toss it in with the furniture.
Sure, but I think that if they were gonna do like a catalog, you could do. I think Amazon would be fun. Like it's brought to you by and then they can just they're able to go on Prime and they just do like a Prime shopping spree. That would be pretty lit.
Yeah,
like that'd be a cool modern way to do it.
Because I always liked how it would like show up. They would like actually like order things and it would show up in the box.
Yeah,
they would like unpack all their stuff. But should we talk about our first impressions of the episode before divulging off topic?
Yeah, I think we probably should. The episode talked. It goes off topic a lot, and it does. Really focuses on Applebee's got their money's worth.
Oh yeah,
in this episode, it is an ad for Applebee's, and honestly, it's amazing.
Yeah.
But before we get into that, we have to deal with the aftermath of the tribal where Hunter is blindsided and walks out with an idol in his pocket.
Yeah. So Hunter was my winner pick, as I discussed last episode. So sad that he's gone. But the episode as a whole, I really, really enjoyed. I said after we watched this episode, I said to Peyton, this has been one of the most enjoyable seasons I've watched live. I think it's just been A+ television. It's been so much fun. I've sincerely liked every episode, and every episode since the merge has been a straight banger. It's been so good. And so I'm loving this season so far.
Yeah, I think it's easily the best. Without a doubt, it's the best season of the new era. I think that we're both in agreement about that. And I've seen some people online who are dissenters and don't like this season.
Yeah, I agree. And I don't understand. I would really like to talk to someone who doesn't like it and understand why they don't like it. Unless they like don't like drama.
Yeah, most of the people who don't like it, it's because they don't like the cast. They think that it is just a Gabon level bad cast where it is just a mess, and it's a mess to the degree where it's not even fun to watch.
See, I'm fine with it being a mess when the mess isn't over racism.
Yeah. But I don't even think it's like, yes, they're a mess, but they're also strategic. They're not overly strategic. And I don't think that this is, I would never venture to say that this is the most strategic season of Survivor. And it's probably, I don't even think it's the most strategic season of the new era. And I still think that the new era is less strategic than any of the seasons of, earlier Survivor. I mean, I think that the new era is, like, we just finished watching season 3. And season 3, a lot of times felt even sometimes more strategic than they're getting here at certain points where they're really calculating some of the votes. But the dynamics of the game are so different, and what they're having to navigate, it's hard to compare the two.
Yeah.
But when you're looking at like the golden age of Survivor and strategy to this new era of Survivor, there's really just no comparison in terms of strategy. But I think that in terms of the game that we're presented here, 46 versus 41, the leap that we've come from, now that I just kind of rewatched quickly through 41 and now I'm watching through 42 for the first time, it is night and day difference.
Yeah.
In terms of how far they've evolved this game. And it is significantly better from where it was just a couple of years ago.
Yeah. But back on the topic of the episode starts fallout from Hunter. The big thing that I was surprised to see is it seems like everyone just thought he was bluffing about his idol, because they didn't go, no one went and looked.
Or at least not that we saw.
Yeah. And Tiffany made the comment of, if he had an idol, he should have played it. And so it really seems like they didn't.
Venus seems to be the only person who thought he actually had it. And because she said, no, he just
thought he could stretch it another day.
Thought that he could get himself another vote, and that it was the votes were going to fall on Q.
Yeah.
Which is what he thought.
Yeah. And so, yeah, I was really surprised that we didn't see any sort of scramble for an idol. It's in the teaser for the next episode that we're going to see scramble for an idol, because everyone publicly knew that Tiffany had an idol.
Yeah, it was,
spoiler, Tiffany was who went home in this episode. But so we see that there's going to be a scramble next episode. But that's for starters. What I was really surprised that we didn't see was no fallout from Hunter being sent home with an idol in his pocket. So I was really shocked to see that. And then we move into the main catalyst of this episode, which is the reward challenge. So we have this reward challenge. We find out that it's sponsored by Applebee's. They're going to go and have a night at the sanctuary, have Applebee's, have burgers, chicken, quesadillas, the shark bowl, all the things.
In the shark bowl, Venus is
fiending
so
for the shark bowl.
Excited about this big old shark bowl of alcohol. She just falls over. Mm-hmm. So excited, but nowhere near as excited as Liz is for this burger from Applebee's.
Because she, when they reveal it's Applebee's, she gives this spiel about how every Wednesday she goes to Applebee's with her daughter. She gets the specific burger that they're serving.
Yeah, this bourbon bacon
mushroom burger.
Yeah,
it's the specific burger that they're serving is the one that she gets when she goes. So her and her daughter go to Applebee's every Wednesday. They get Applebee's and then they go home and watch Survivor. That's like their Wednesday ritual.
Yeah. Yoga, Applebee's, Survivor.
Yeah. So challenge plays out. So she's really excited. She wants to win, or at least she wants to go. Challenge plays out. Q wins. Q decides to take Tiffany and Kenzie because he wants to try and repair the Yanu alliance. And he takes Maria because Maria was the one who checked on him after everything that happened. And he wants to thank Maria.
Or what he said. That's what he says. Yeah.
And then we have this. Honestly, I don't really know of a more emotional moment in Survivor, like a more like emotional outburst, a bigger emotional outburst in Survivor that I've seen than this.
Yeah, not that comes to mind immediately for sure.
Yeah, Liz just has I think the best words to put it is a total mental breakdown.
Maybe not mental breakdown, but just an emotional
breakdown.
Yeah. I mean, Jeff just kind of gives a moment and just very plainly asks, what are you feeling? Do you mind sharing with us? And that's something that he does. He gives people the opportunity to process and share if they want to. And she lets everybody know out in the open that she's pissed. And that's what she says.
Very loudly.
She yells, screams, maybe is a more apt description, at Q, and kind of at Jeff, and just at everybody, just, I'm pissed. And
very publicly exclaims that Q blew up her game, ruined her game, and like she wants nothing to do with him. And she hasn't eaten in days. She says she hasn't eaten a single calorie since the merge, which is so crazy to think about. Just legit not eat and be doing like physical exertion tasks is crazy. And on some levels, I feel bad for her because no one wants to be in that position where you're not eating. But at the same time, you know what you're signing up for.
Yeah.
And I'm sure production warned her over and over and over again that there is a very real possibility that she will not eat.
Yes. And I mean, Jeff even said that in the On Fire podcast last week, where he says that they make it very clear to everyone going out there, whether they have a medical condition or dietary restrictions or whatever, they let them know before they go out there of the risks that they are taking on and the exact situation that they're walking into. They have to agree to it. Obviously, I'm sure there's a lot of liability waivers and paperwork that has to be signed and all sorts of things like that, I'm sure. But they have to, I mean, they know what they're going into, and Liz was definitely more than aware of the situation. And so I agree. On one hand, I definitely like sympathize because that's a long time to go without eating. And I don't want to go that long without eating.
Yeah.
But I also don't feel a ton of sympathy because it was her decision.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like she chose to do this.
She knew the rest.
It was a sacrifice that she made to go win $1 million that she doesn't need.
She claims she doesn't need.
Yeah, she's talking all this. She's earlier in the game, she was so, I don't want to say cocky, but cocky, right? Like she was just very kind of, there's really not a better word for me to say, but she was just putting it very out there that she didn't need the money. She explicitly said she doesn't need the money. And it's like, all right, girl, if you don't need the money, all right, well, why are you out here? That was the question that, like, Tevin posed that question early in the season.
And she said she's literally just out there for the title.
Yeah. She's out there because she just wants to win. And so it's like, okay, cool. I don't feel that bad personally. Like, I understand you're going through a tough time. You don't need to make Q, like, I didn't really understand yes, there's this emotional kind of outburst, but trying to make Q feel bad or taking it out on Q isn't, like, that's not going to do you any favors in this.
Yeah.
At all. Because, like, sure, it probably made her feel a whole lot better in the moment, but it's like, that's not winning you anyone else over in this moment. It's not getting you any food. It's not getting you on this reward. And yeah, I just don't know what she is expecting to get out of this.
Yeah. I think it poses an interesting question. If you were Q and like you were in the situation, would you have picked Liz?
So this is tough. All right. So the question is, okay, am I Q? Am I like, have I played Q's horrendously bad game?
Yes.
If that's the case, then no. I probably do not care. Because I'm doing whatever. Well, no, I don't know. Because here's the thing. Because if I'm Q, I'm doing whatever I can to buy myself more time in this game, right? Does taking Liz buy me another day in the game? That's the question.
I think I understand where Q was coming from in picking Tiffany and Kenzie.
I don't understand taking Maria.
I think he should have taken Liz over Maria.
I would say Liz makes more sense to take over Maria.
Because
I think Charlie makes more sense to take over Liz.
I think the smartest three would have been Kenzie, Tiffany, Liz. Because I understand him wanting to try to mend some sort of bridge with his original Yanu. Obviously, it ends up futile. Doesn't work.
Yeah.
But so I think it was also be like the most understandable picks because they're like, oh, okay, he wants to try and repair something with his original tribe mates, and then he's taking the person who literally has not eaten.
Yeah, I would say if I'm not playing Q's game, if I'm playing my game, I would take Liz.
Yeah, I agree. 100%.
I say I probably 100% take Liz.
Liz would have been my first pick.
It is the easiest choice in the world. No matter, because if I'm being honest, I probably am not vibing with Liz.
No.
She's probably, I don't know if she's in my alliance or not. I don't know what tribe I'm starting on, all this sort of stuff. Like, personally, I just don't think my personality is gelling with Liz's.
Me either.
It does not matter to me. It is the easiest pick in the world because if Liz makes it on the jury, I just took her on this reward.
Well,
that's a jury vote. That's my first thought. Jury vote, and it buys me goodwill with everyone else there. Nobody's going to be mad at me for taking her. She's going to be happy that I took her. It's going to look great on TV. It's like it is a win-win, no-lose situation.
Yeah, I agree. I think she would, and any other person's, I understand where Q was coming from and not picking her. I still think he should have, but I understand why he didn't. I think if anybody else had won the reward, Liz would have been their first pick.
Yeah. I honestly think Q, I think Q didn't take her. I think it's just totally an ego thing.
Oh, 100%.
It was 100%. That's why I don't even I'm not even bold enough to say I understand it. I think it's just like I don't understand why he did it. I just know why he did
that's
it.
what I mean.
Yeah,
I understand why he did it in the sense that I understand I know why you did what you did. I would not do it, but I know why you did what you did.
I know why you did what you did. It doesn't make sense to me. I don't get it. It doesn't click in my brain, but I know what in your head you're thinking. I think it was totally like a power play thing in his head. He's kind of just saying like, you know what? Like, I know you really need this. I have the power to say no.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say outright that's what he's thinking. Like, that almost feels like libelous.
It was
to
the
say
same
something like that here, but
he literally says like, in my job, I got to fire people, and it doesn't matter if they're kicking and crying and screaming. If I want them gone, they're gone. It's like, it was 100% an ego thing.
Yeah. Like, and I mean, to be fair, I mean, if you have to fire someone, you have to fire someone. Like, that's how it goes
if they're
in the
not
real
doing
world.
a good job.
Like, you have to fire them. You also, like, I've had to fire someone and it sucks. It's someone's livelihood. It's the worst thing I've ever had to do. And that's because I have empathy. It literally was painful. It's a painful experience. I actually hated it. And the way he talked about that, it was just like he just didn't feel any sort of like empathy.
It was giving that moment. Donald Trump, "You're fired."
Yeah, it gave that sort of vibe. So anyway, I think we can move on from the decision. They go on this little reward trip to the Applebee's sanctuary. It's the same vibes as season 42.
Welcome to Applebee's.
Yes, literally, they sit down and they're eating and eating and eating and eating, and the burgers are served last. And none of them eat it.
Even eat the burgers.
They're too full.
To add insult to injury, they don't even eat these burgers.
That Liz was hyping up and she wanted so bad.
Oh my gosh.
So these burgers just, I mean, they don't go to waste. I'm sure
they did something with them.
Production ate them 100%. Like Jeff probably didn't personally have them, but I mean, the camera crews and the grip team and, all the people that ate them, right? They probably catered Applebee's for the whole crew, staff, and everyone there.
The thing that I'm a little confused on, though, is if Liz is allergic to so much, like, natural things, how on earth does she eat Applebee's? I don't understand. Granted, I'm not one to speak on this subject. Thankfully, I'm not allergic to anything, but I just don't understand.
There's just a list of things she's allergic to, and
whatever
the contents in this burger are not on that list.
But she's gluten-free. So is she eating the bun? Because there's no way that's a gluten-free bun.
Is she gluten free?
Yeah, because there was a tweet when she got the merge and they said there were going to be sandwiches at the merge. She was bummed because she wasn't going to be able to eat the sandwiches. And then someone from production yelled off, like it wasn't shown, but someone in production like yelled to her and said, "They're going to be gluten free." And so she was like really happy.
I don't know.
I'm being 100% honest.
Yeah. Well, no, I'm saying like I don't know how, like,
maybe she just doesn't eat the bun.
Yeah, maybe I'm assuming she goes bun free and she doesn't have celiac, so it doesn't matter if the bun comes in contact. She just can't digest. Like, I don't know what her allergy is, like her allergies are specifically. So it's not a matter of a contact thing. It's just she can't eat the whole bun. But like if it's celiac, it can't contact it at all. There can't be cross contamination. So maybe she doesn't have celiac. She just can't eat the whole bun. I don't know, man. I don't really want to theorize about her allergies, but we'll get her on the podcast and we'll do a full in-depth breakdown of Liz's allergies to the extent that she wants to discuss. Yeah. And we will list off every single food that she is allergic to. That would be kind of fun.
That would be a fun episode.
Wait, we should have her list everything she's allergic to, and then we rank them by how much we like them. That'd be fun. Or we do a draft of foods Liz is allergic to. That would be fun.
Oh my gosh, that's so.
How out of pocket would that be with her on the draft?
Terrible. That's so terrible.
No, but I bet she thinks that's fun.
She does seem like the kind of person that would like get a laugh out of it.
I think that would be silly. Hey Liz, you're not ever doing anything because you're a billionaire. So you want to come on our podcast? Let's do this. Anyways, yeah, they eat Applebee's. They get full. Tiffany drinks a milkshake even though she's lactose intolerant. And then they go rub this into Liz's face.
It's so bad. They go back and Liz is obviously not happy. And she's like, she says in her confessional, "I don't want to hear about any of this. I'm so pissed." And they start talking about it. And then they say that they don't eat the burgers. If I was there, I would not bring up the burger at all.
They just
either that, or I would say,
around Liz.
or I would say, like, "I'm sorry, Liz, but you were right. It was a really yummy burger." I would say something along those lines. But I probably would not. I wouldn't say anything unless she
asks. But there's no way she was. And if I was Liz, I would have left.
Yeah, I would have
walked away. I don't know why she sat there.
Yeah,
I would have. She did her fake apology to Q, and I would have left.
Yeah, I would have excused myself from the situation.
Anyway, what even happened after that? They go to the immunity challenge pretty much right away, right?
Well, there's the discussion. Well, there's the discussion of there's a group that wants to get out. Really, just Maria and Charlie are talking about getting out Tiffany. They're the only people talking about it before the immunity challenge. They're discussing that they think they need to get out Tiffany because Kenzie, the original idea was thrown out by Kenzie, and then she kind of like backpedaled on it, and she doesn't think now is the right time. She just thinks it should just be Q.
Yeah, they backpedaled after the sanctuary.
Yeah, so they backpedaled. They think it should just be Q, and Tiffany doesn't think it, or Kenzie doesn't think it's the right time to get out Tiff. So, but Charlie and Maria still want to get out Tiffany because they think anyone having an idol in the game is dangerous, which I completely agree with.
It's a valid, yeah.
And so they go to the immunity challenge. Really impressive showing by Charlie.
Yeah. And Tiffany.
Yeah, Tiffany too. So great showing by them. Charlie ends up winning individual immunity, leaving Tiffany and Q both vulnerable. And so we have this split of people who want to get out Q, people who want to get out Tiffany, and Maria and Charlie rope in Ben and Q into getting out Tiff, and they approach Liz as the deciding vote between getting out Tiffany and getting out Q, which is really crazy to... I honestly thought they would have approached Venus, but I guess Venus was close enough with Kenzie that they were nervous about doing it. So very interesting that they approached Liz about doing this move. And I'm surprised they honestly didn't just maybe try and do a 4-4, and then I guess they weren't sure that they could get the votes after they wanted to just get Tiff out cleanly, and they were worried that if it went to a tie and Q went out, there would be a lot of like backlash from their attempted move.
Yeah, I don't think you want to pit it to a revote because I think Q goes home in a revote.
Yeah.
I just think that Q is an easy revote because you don't want to go to rocks. That's the last thing you want to do. Is you don't want to risk the chance of it, like Tiffany and Q being safe, and then it's rocks on everybody else. You know. One thing I'm wondering is, all right, if you are Liz in this scenario, they come to you, and Liz, she said, on one hand, she wants to get Tiffany's idol out of the game. It's not she wants to get Tiffany out of the game. She wants Tiffany's idol gone. And on the other hand, she hates Q and wants Q gone. There's one scenario where she accomplishes both, and she gets a big move.
Yeah, I think Liz's best move would have been to go to Tiffany and be like, hey, they're throwing votes on you. Play your idol tonight.
Yep.
And then I think you vote against Q and stay in the majority.
Yep.
And then it is your move by you save Tiffany.
Yep.
You flush the idol. Your number one enemy goes home.
Yep. And now you've aligned yourself with Kinsey. You're in a strong position with a majority now being with Tiffany, Kinsey, and
Venus.
So there's the 4 of you versus the 3 Sega. And so you are now a majority 4 versus the 3 Sega. You get one of the 3 of them next vote. You're in a good position to go to Final 4. You're in a great position. I don't know why it benefits your game to, like, I understand getting out Tiffany is the follower move where it's like, hey, we can just get the idol out. But there are more ways to get the idol out other than getting the person who has the idol out.
Yeah.
You can just get the person to play the idol. So I would have just gone and told her, said, play your idol. And then you get Q out and the idol out, and you've earned yourself an ally.
Yeah.
Because you just saved them.
Yeah.
Because she wasn't going to play it. And so it works out. I think, like, that's a brilliant move. And I think it's obviously it's the sort of thing where we're getting to think about it now. And she would have had to have really big brained it in the moment. But that would have been the ideal way to play this scenario. And I'm sure that Liz probably thought that a little while later, or definitely, I'm sure watching this back now is like, man, that probably was the ideal way to play it out. I mean, if Liz goes on to win the season, then never mind, doesn't matter. But I think that's the ideal way to play this scenario, unless she just really trusts the Sega 3, but you're the minority there.
Yeah.
Like there's no, like, you're on the bottom. You have to know you're on the bottom of that 4.
And then 4. Oh,
Like,
yeah.
The Sega 3 and you.
And then
you're on the bottom.
And they're also planning on keeping Q around. They're not planning on getting rid of him anytime soon.
Yeah.
And if anything, the 3 of them are all thinking about trying to bring Q with them to the end because they know Q won't win. But I think another thing is I think someone brought up a good point of people are scared of bringing Q to the end because then it looks bad on you because they're like, oh, all you did was just bring a goat to the end. You brought someone to the end who no one likes.
Yeah, but I think that's a harder thing to argue because it's 3 people sitting at the end.
Yeah, because
you
2
could make
people
that,
have to make the decision.
Yeah, you could make that argument in the early days when it was just 2, right? You could bring a goat all the way to the end and it was just you sitting with a goat. And it was like, all right, well, I mean, why would I vote for you? Sure, you made it all the way here, but you didn't bring any real competition. Like, what's the point?
Which personally, I think that's a dumb argument.
I agree, but it's more of an argument there when it's just you bring one person.
Yeah.
When there's 3 people there and there's fire making, like they have to earn their spot in potentially. Yeah. Like if you brought Q with you and make the other 2 fight, like if you pick Q to come with you to the final 3, that might be that would be a precarious situation.
Yeah.
That I would be questioning as a jury member, and I would dock them points.
Yeah.
If Q earns his way in with fire, different situation. But if you pick Q to come to the final 3 with you,
Or if he won the individual immunity challenge.
yeah, if you want individual immunity, I'm not that worried about it. And then he's making the picks, sure, because then he's not the one picking. But I'm saying, like, if you are the one who won immunity and then you pick Q to come with you,
yeah,
that would be
that's
wild decision, and that looks incredibly poor on you.
Yeah.
Unless for some reason Q is he has reinitiated himself as your ally at that point.
Yeah.
And it makes sense for you and your game by then, but I just don't see that happening.
Yeah. But anyways, I think in the moment, the best decision Liz could have made would be leaking the information to Tiffany. Tiffany playing her idol, Q goes home. But in the heat of the moment, you don't necessarily think of all the possibilities. If I was on the island, who knows if I would have thought of that. If I was in Liz's position.
Yeah. It's obviously a completely different game when you're there and when we're watching here at home.
Playing on the couch.
Yeah. And obviously hindsight's 2020. And the third idol went home in someone's pocket.
Absolutely insane that all 3 original idols from their beaches went home. Jim, Hunter, Tiffany. And then this one went back to back.
Yeah.
So I am curious. Obviously, it seems like people think that it's not always that an idol goes back into play right after it's been voted out, but that's usually what happens. That's usually the trend. So I am curious, are there going to be 2 idols that are on the beach? I feel like the likely answer is no. I think there's just going to be one, because 2 idols with 7 people left in the game would be ridiculous.
The last time an idol can be played is 5. 5. Yeah.
5.
So the other question is it going to be a beware advantage? Is it going to be just some sort of, like, what's going to be the catch? Because it's not just going to be an idol.
I would be surprised if it wasn't a beware advantage, because there hasn't been just a normal idol in the new era.
That's where I'm wondering if it's because there's not a lot of time before 5. I think it would be weird for someone to lose their vote for, like, it would be incredibly risky for someone to lose their vote for a tribal council at this point. So it would need to be a beware advantage that you could realistically achieve before the next tribal council if you found it.
Yeah, I think it will probably be a challenge similar to what Hunter had, where he had like 10 minutes to find it before they merged onto his beach. I think something like that is I think
most
likely.
I really hope that it maybe is an introduction of a new mechanic. I would hope that maybe they test something new that maybe they, introduce more widely in like a future season. But I think this is a good opportunity to try something new that's not a beware advantage.
I feel like most likely it's going to be
beware. Assume it's going to be beware. But you don't have a whole lot of time before they get down to 5, and someone not having a vote at tribal is a huge risk, huge disadvantage. And I mean, granted, it's a risk that they have to agree to. So, I mean, I'm fine with them taking it. Like, it's not a forced decision, like a journey. So it's not a big, like, I don't have a problem with that. But it is something where I would be interested to see if there's another way to tie it up. Like, I really liked the bird cage, I like the public, like that public idol. That was fun. I want them to do something like that again. Like, I really loved the bird cage. Like, I would like for there to be some other sort of twist in these last couple of days that would be kind of more interesting than just a standard beware advantage. I don't think there's going to be that, but it would be interesting to see if they did something a little bit different, or just straight up, like, they just hide.
Yeah,
or just like hide a clue,
or they just don't put one in the game at all.
I think that there's a good chance that they don't put one back in.
I think honestly, 3 idols going home in 3 pockets. I think just no more idols.
Or just an advantage that's not an idol.
Like maybe just the leave the tribal council I think that would be fine.
I mean, there have been no other advantages this game that anyone else has found or used. So there's been really nothing else in this season.
Which I've honestly been really pleased with. It's been
a low advantage
like OG
season.
Survivor.
It's been nice that there's not been a whole lot of craziness going on.
Yeah, we've every vote in the merge, everyone's had their vote.
Yep.
And everyone, well, except Hunter lost his vote one time.
Yep.
From the journey. But pretty much everyone's had their vote, and everyone has cast one vote. I think Tevin had one extra vote.
Yeah, but I think that was the vote that Hunter didn't have a vote. So I think it evened
But
out,
Tevin
right?
didn't. Oh, and Tevin didn't have to use it. I think he went home with his extra vote.
Maybe. I don't really remember. Those ones get a little complicated, but pretty much it's been straight
normal.
up basic normal Survivor.
And I think that has added to an extra layer of this season being that much more enjoyable.
Yeah, it's felt like Survivor a lot more than the last
3 seasons.
Yeah, several seasons it felt.
At least from all of the new era seasons that I've watched, whenever I was watching like 41, 42, 43, I was watching them and I knew I was watching Survivor, but it just didn't feel like Survivor. Like I was watching it and it I don't know what it was. It just didn't feel like I was really watching Survivor. But this season, it really, really feels like it.
It's interesting now going back and like watching 41 and 42 after having watched 44, 45, and 46, because it's definitely an earlier version of it. I think that they're better than people give them credit for, but it is not as good as 46 is because there's way, way too many advantages.
Yeah.
It feels very much like, I've told you this, but it feels very much like Dark Ages of Survivor, post heroes versus villains. They're trying to capture that Russell Hantz magic, and they're just throwing things in the game, trying to get some chaos in there. And like, there's a point in 42 where Drea is holding like 4 different advantages.
Yeah.
She has lost. She has both lost her vote, and has an extra vote, and has an idol, and has an amulet.
Yeah.
That's insanity. Like, she's got like a book underneath her name. Wild. And she's not the only person on her tribe with stuff. Yeah. Crazy. So they have definitely figured out a pretty good balance this season of advantages and disadvantages. I like it a lot better now. I think that they're starting to hit their stride. And so I'm optimistic about the progress that they'll have made by 50 once they start reintroducing returnees. And then if Survivor continues after that, which is apparently a topic of discussion now, I think it's going to.
I think it's going to as well. I had seen a post by Wentworth talking about she thinks the possibility that it could end.
Yeah.
I don't think there's a possibility of Survivor ending until Jeff announces that he's retiring.
Yeah, I think Survivor's done when Jeff is done. And Jeff doesn't seem like he's done, because he has said very vocally that he thinks there's a lot of room to run with this new format. And that doesn't sound like
10 seasons.
Yeah, that doesn't sound like they've only got, 3 more seasons in the bag.
Yeah.
That sounds like he's got another 20.
Yeah.
So I'm very interested to see how this game, like, I think they're going to get to 50. They'll have it really figured out by then. And then now, all right, we've got the game figured out. Let's start having fun with who we put in the game.
Yeah. And even when Survivor does end, I don't think it's just going to end on a casual. It's not going to end on a casual thing. If they're actually announcing the last season, I don't think that they're just going to have a normal season and then announce at the end, oh, this was the last one. They're going to make it huge.
I think they will do a multi-season build up to the end.
Yeah.
They're going to make it an event where it's going to be, all right, these are the last 3 seasons of Survivor.
Yeah, maybe
it's gonna
you
be like
do
a 3-part event.
You do like 4 seasons. You do a couple seasons in a row where the last 3 or 4 people who are left,
you do a tournament.
They make it to the next season. They maybe get like a small prize for making it to the end, like maybe each of them gets 50 grand. And then those people compete again and you do like a tournament
No.
style.
So I think you do Survivor, right? Oh, here's what you do. Here's the big brain idea for how you really wrap it up. Say you do your final 5 seasons of Survivor, whenever this is, it's your tournament of champions. And you bring back all the best players in Survivor history. And you do 4 seasons of Survivor. And the winners, right, of those, they win, say it's, $1 million each time or $2 million each time. Make it like a bigger prize, whatever. And then you take the top, I guess you take the final 4 from each of those seasons. And that is your tribe. That's your tribe for the last season.
Yeah.
And that, like, your last season, the winner takes home, maybe it's like $10 million or something.
Yeah, something crazy.
Like, it's just massive. But then that last season is like 50 days. It's like insanity.
Yeah, it's not that whenever they end Survivor, it's not going to be casual. There's no way. It's with it being one of the most popular and long-running shows in television history, there's no way it's just going to end casually. And honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if when Jeff retires, they try to find his replacement. I think when he retires, the show should end because I'm worried that they're going to try to find his replacement and then it's just not going to be good. So I would...
Yeah. I think they would have to really nail it.
It's that...
And I think if they did it, it would be a former player.
Yeah, it would be someone like Rob. It would be someone like Tyson. Someone who's probably pretty vocal in the Survivor community already. Like what they did with Ken Jennings whenever Alex Trebek passed away. Something like that.
I think I totally think it would be someone like that. Right now I don't know.
I could totally see Tyson being not saying Tyson will. I'm saying I think I could totally see Tyson being an option. He has a podcast. He's really vocal about Survivor. He's a fan favorite.
Yeah. I don't know if he has the
showmanship.
Yeah. I don't know if he has like that level of, and it's the fact that like he's a producer of the show.
Mm-hmm.
But whoever it is to be the voice of the show doesn't necessarily have to be a producer. This could be a whole episode that we could really break it down into. I don't want to take up too much time now.
Be Jeff's successor?
But it's like, who could actually do what Jeff Probst does? Because I don't think anyone could replace Jeff Probst. But if someone had to step in and fill his shoes, like who could do the next best job?
Yeah,
and it's an interesting thought experiment. But I think that there are some potential people who could like I think like Parvati would be an interesting one who could do like an interesting job,
or even Sandra.
I think I don't think Sandra would want to though.
I don't think
Sandra
she would
totally would not want to. But there's some definite people who would be interesting candidates out there.
Yeah,
but I think it's probably a former player.
Yeah,
but yeah,
I think
some interesting stuff there.
Yeah, I think they would just need to see how it works. Maybe just do a test run, and maybe I don't know, because the problem with television is a lot of TV shows have a really a lot of just TV shows have a trend of not knowing when to end.
Yes,
and then they just are awful by the end.
Yep.
The Office.
Pretty much every TV show ever.
I don't think Parks and Rec ended fine. I was fine with it. The last season wasn't amazing, but I didn't dislike it.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of shows.
Friends is a show that I know you don't like Friends, but Friends is pretty agreed upon that it was good until the end.
Yeah, it depends on if the show like had a end in mind or not.
Yeah,
and so like there's shows that
I haven't seen Game of Thrones, but everyone says Game of Thrones ends awful.
Yeah,
Loses the plot.
They went off the rails in the last season, but like Breaking Bad, they ended great. They had their plan. They ended on season 5 like perfect. Anyways, yeah, I think that reality TV is a little different. It's kind of its own thing, but I do think that there's enough gas in the tank, and that was why they revamped it into this new era. Is I think they wanted to keep it going I really think they want to keep it going for another 40.
Oh, I wholly agree.
I think they want to go to season 100.
Yeah.
I think they want to go to 100. Now, Jeff's not going to make it to 100. to season 100.
Sadly, he is older.
He's in his 60s.
Sadly,
So
he would be
in his 80s. By
yeah.
then.
I don't
He
want to.
could do it.
Yeah, that would be rough. That would be tough.
I think that Jeff realistically does this until
70.
I think he probably does this until 2035 at the most.
How old is he right now?
I don't know.
Hold on. Keep talking. I'm gonna look it up.
My guess right now is that he is 62.
You were right.
Am I right?
Yeah.
Oh,
he is 62.
I'm so good.
I think you think he does it. What did you say? 2035.
Yeah.
So you think
that gets us 11 more years out of him?
So you think he does it till he's 73?
Yeah. Because he looks good. He looks young. He's still like very spry. I think that he could. I think
he looks pretty good for 62.
Because I'm saying 2035. That's a good year. That gets it to.
It's crazy to think about that he's 62 years old.
I know.
Especially like when we're especially now that we're watching.
Think about the season number, I guess, is probably the way to think about it.
Like what season do you think he goes to?
Yeah.
You think he makes it to season. Well, so
what season is
season 60? Would be 7 years from now.
Okay.
So he'd be 69.
Okay. But I think he makes it to that. I think that's
so. You
easy.
Think he makes it to season 70, which is 14 years from now, 66 or 76.
That's where we start getting close. That's where it's like, all right, that might be. So maybe he makes it to season 65,
which is
around where I was thinking.
Maths. Like, yeah, about 11 years.
Yeah. So I think somewhere around season 65
is when he taps out.
Is when, if I was Jeff, I would be like, all right, man, I want to start hanging with my grandkids.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Like Survivor demands a lot. It is quite the operation.
Yeah.
I can't imagine. Granted, they're only filming 2 months out of the year.
And he obviously loves it.
He loves it a lot. Big passion project. It's still a year-round thing. It's a lot of time, a lot of commitment. But at a certain point, you want to retire.
Yeah.
You want to be done with it. I would venture to guess that is the longest he wants to go. I think it's likely earlier. But I think that a big part of them doing this new era is to breathe new life into it, really get it figured out, and eventually pass off the reins to someone else.
Yeah.
And maybe start. I think there's a chance we get him doing this alongside someone else.
And he's like training them up.
I think we get like kind of like a sideline reporter in football. So maybe the challenges are narrated by someone else.
Or maybe they host. Have you ever seen Food Network Star? Maybe they do something like that. They do. I don't know. Survivor Star. I don't know what they call it.
Like the next Survivor host?
Yeah. Like some sort of.
No. That'd be so silly.
It'd be so funny.
That'd be so silly.
Yeah, I know. They shouldn't do it like that.
No.
Though.
But I do think maybe we start seeing like a sideline reporter role come in where maybe they bring back like one former player every season, right? Kind of like they're doing on the podcast. And they commentate live on the sideline like Jeff does currently. And they sit over there or they do something to just like basically they're live testing and seeing the Twitter reactions.
Yeah.
And they're seeing what's favorable and what's not. I kind of think that's what they're doing on the podcast. My theory was
testing like with Rick Devens and
now D. I kind of think they're seeing what people react to.
A lot of people liked Rick Devens on the podcast.
Yeah. And I'm really enjoying D.
I like D.
I think that's what they're doing. All of that sort of stuff is very intentional.
Oh, I'm sure.
To try and see, all right, who's going to be the next Jeff?
Yeah. The tricky thing is I don't think anyone's going to be able to take over Jeff in terms of his level of involvement with the show in terms of its production.
No.
So that's where I get worried of the quality of the show because they're going to lose his mind in the show.
No, but the show, I mean, they have so many producers, and I mean, it's been a Mark Burnett production since the beginning, and he's still heavily involved, and there's going to be the whole production house and all of them. I mean, I think that it's still going to be in good hands, and he'll probably still have creative control until he dies and going to be involved. So I think That's not as much as I'm worried about. It's just going to be like, he's the heart and soul of Survivor.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like Jeopardy. Like, that was a great example. It's like, Jeopardy doesn't feel the same to me.
It does. Yeah. I mean, I love Jeopardy. I want to go on Jeopardy one day. Maybe. I don't think I'm that smart. I think I'm pretty smart, but I don't think I'm Jeopardy smart. I feel like I could have gone on College Jeopardy. I think I would have done good on College Jeopardy. Anyways, very long-winded, off-topic conversation, kind of sparked by the news that happened this week that it was announced that season 50 is going to be a returnee season.
Yeah.
So that has sparked this conversation, which I really want to do an episode talking after 46 ends. I really want to do an episode of who do we want back. And
I will have, I'm halfway through 42.
Yeah.
Rewatched 41, which I realized that I've already seen. I totally thought I hadn't seen it, and I just forgot I had seen it.
So clown.
Yeah, it's so unmemorable that I forgot I had. I forgot that I had seen it.
It is extremely
unmemorable. And then I started it, and I was like, "Oh my goodness, this is the one where they got marooned on a boat." Because I forgot that. Because I thought the new era there were no maroonings. They only marooned in the first one.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was like, oh, this is the boat one where they forgot the oars and all that sort of stuff. Like, the one team forgot their oar and all that, like, and they stayed tied up to the boat and all that. Like, I was like, oh, I remember all of this. And so then I just like skimmed through it all and watched a couple episodes and watched the finale and everything. I was like, okay, I remember all of this. And then now I'm watching through 42 and then I'm going to watch 43. So I'll be caught up on new era. And so we'll be able to have that conversation, and I'll be really fresh on those 3 seasons for us to have that conversation. And I'm excited to talk about those, and we'll also be able to kind of look at, all right, some Survivor favorites, at least the ones that we kind of are able to talk about as well.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I will definitely do an episode talking about who we want to come back / who we think will actually come back, and what we would like to see out of the theme for Survivor 50. So we're definitely going to do an episode about that.
Survivor 50 and beyond, because I think there's going to be more beyond 50.
Yeah. So with that, do you have anything else you want to say about episode 10? We've kind of been off the rails. Haven't really talked about episode 10 in like 30 minutes.
Yeah, no, we got off the rails there at the end. To bring it all back home before we close, Tiffany went home. That was, for a long time, we were predicting her to win.
Yeah.
And we were predicting Kinsey to win.
And now
she's kind of on the bottom.
Yeah.
So,
tough break for Kinsey this week.
To end this, kind of as we've been ending it before, where do we stand right now at this moment? Who are our final 3? Because a couple weeks ago, we said Kinsey, Tiffany, Hunter. Right now, Hunter and Tiffany are on the jury bench, and Kinsey is on the bottom. That has flipped in 2 weeks, has changed completely.
I think Charlie has a really good shot. I think Maria's threat level skyrocketed.
I think both of them have massive targets on their back.
I think it depends on if people perceive it as a Maria move or a Maria and Charlie move. I think it depends on how people perceive
Charlie's also won like back-to-back individual immunities.
I honestly think
the biggest physical threat in the game that's not
I think Venus has a really good shot at making it to the final 3.
I think right now Venus and Ben are in the final 3.
Yeah.
I think both of them make it there.
I think it depends.
I don't think either of them win. I think whoever out of the others makes it there wins.
I think it depends how strong the Sika alliance decides to stay. Like, do Maria, Ben, and Charlie want to stay super locked in? And I think that's a very real possibility.
Turn on one another soon. I would be shocked if. Now, I granted, I think they need to stay strong. I think the Maria and Charlie are, but I think at some point they are going to try to cut Ben.
Yeah, the way they were the way the sneak peek was talking about next episode, it seemed like Maria was who they were talking about in a negative light, and in the oh my gosh, she is a threat.
Yeah.
So that's what I think about next episode. Really excited to watch. Again, really, really loving this season.
Yeah, it's so unpredictable. We've never known, like, the week before, we never know who's going to go out the next week.
And I think that makes that's how you know it's a good season.
Yeah.
When it's not predictable, and every episode we've not been sure who's going to go home next. It's not cut and dry.
Yeah, our reaction to every tribal council post-merge, pretty much, we have literally both been watching the other one, went,
What?
"Whoa,
Like jaws on the floor.
wow." Like we reacted to the Tiffany, like when the votes turned out Tiffany, we were like, wow. Like we didn't think they were actually going to do it.
Mhm.
And then the Hunter one, I was pretty confident it was going to go Hunter. And when he didn't play his idol, I was like, oh no.
Yeah.
And it was when it gets like a visceral, like real reaction out of you, like that's all you can ask for out of good reality television.
With that, thank you for tuning in to this recap episode of Survivor 46, episode 10. We hope you enjoyed. If you enjoyed listening, we would really appreciate a rating or a review. It really helps our podcast grow. And you can check us out wherever you listen to podcasts, on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, all that good stuff. And follow us on social media at Instagram and TikTok at Idle Talk Podcast. And thank you for listening.
Don't forget to get yourself some Applebee's sometime this week. We'll catch you guys in the next one. Bye.